Hey guys, what's up? It's Dreadscape Gaming. Today we're going to be playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yes, broke boys, rise up. It is our time. And ironically, believe it or not, a lot of Mario Kart World players from the Switch 2 are moving back over to Mario Kart 8. We're going to be jumping into some random customs today. I'm not going to be playing any online matches, so if you jumped into the stream looking to play with me online, that is not going to be happening today. We're going to be playing random combinations that were recommended to us by viewers. This time around, I asked for people to give me not as metagame layout as the last time, because I felt like the last time people were just like, oh, teddy bear cruiser with the rollers and that's it. So I asked for this time options such as good bikes to use. I also asked for random vehicles that were like good looking fits, and you gave me quite a few of them. You also gave me quite a few characters that are not considered metagame characters, so I do greatly appreciate that. To everybody that partook in that, I'm going to be using the Yoshi cycle here, and I'm going to be using it. I believe I have to actually use the rollers here to actually make this work, and we're just going to be sticking with the paper gliders. Hope all of you are doing very well on this Tuesday. My apologies before for not being able to get really anything out and having to run a Twitch rebroadcast on what day did I run it? Saturday. The reason for that was I was having a lot of computer issues on Friday, a lot of headaches. Laptop Chan did not want to start up after being on for a bit, and it took like a whole bunch of hours for me to get it to go back on. And fortunately, most of those problems, knock on wood, I don't actually have wood near me, are for the most part at least solved. Not like fully solved, but at least somewhat for the moment. I was going to play Dead by Daylight. I haven't had time to really test Dead by Daylight, and I thought about the Freddy Fazbear. I know that like the chapter. I'm not going to even bother really investigating it. I'm not that big of a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. I do kind of want to do pinball on the channel. I've been saying this for a while. I just haven't personally had enough time to really record, because I have mentioned I am working on stuff in the background that's not related to this channel or any of the other channels that I have, and that's kind of been eating up a lot of my time. And then I'm just kind of been eating up a lot of other time just trying to figure out stuff to do and just personal stuff that's going on. So my apologies with that. We'll probably do another Twitch stream this week at some point. I don't know exactly what day. Probably do maybe another Yu-Gi-Oh stream, because I know there are some people who do enjoy me playing card games. I'm trying to kind of veer away from playing card games so much. I don't really want to play card games quite a lot, because I feel like I've been playing them a lot nonstop. And the thing about it is Master Duel is not everybody's cup of tea to watch. Like, I know, I look at what people say on the internet, I look at other people's streams, I look at what content creators are doing, and I understand that, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh content from a viewer perspective, unless you're like heavily into Yu-Gi-Oh, which there aren't that many people in this day and age, that's no disrespect to the game whatsoever, that, you know, it might not be everybody's cup of tea, and it also probably not stuff like watching Yu-Gi-Oh players where they just do 15-minute turns and the opponent or you have to forfeit. That's not thrilling content for people, right? I do obviously understand that thought process here, so I gotta roll on 2 if I remember correctly. Now, from what everybody was telling me, I'm not a Mario Kart 8 expert per se. I kind of rock with whatever's filthy metagame, because that's just kind of how I play certain video games, except in this particular situation. I don't know the difference between cycles. Somebody told me there's a difference between two cycles. There's inward drifting, and then I guess there's outward drifting. I don't know what the Yoshi cycle does. It looks like it's... Is that considered inward or outward drifting? I don't even know. I guess it's technically considered outward because it's pushing to the side, perhaps? When I drift inward. I drift inward, it looks like here. So that's, I guess, the inward drift bike. Somebody feel free to correct this dumb noob when it comes to Mario Kart 8 in regards to that. I have like 100 and something hours, and you would think I would actually know what's going on in this game. And after all these hours, I still don't know the difference between a lot of things, because I'm just, you know, one of these filthy casuals for Mario Kart. I try to do my best here. At least I'm not as bad as some other content creators. I know another big in particular had pointed out a content creator, I'm not going to name drop them, that was playing like Mario Kart World and was like super raging at it because they were driving the wrong way and stuff. And apparently, I don't know if that's his actual gimmick or if like it's an act or what's going on, but that was kind of kind of funny. Like, from my point, I was like, is this real? Or are they just doing this for the camera? Are they really this bad at this video game? Or are they just hamming it up for the camera? Not that there's anything wrong, keep that in mind, with being bad at video games, because, you know, video games are to be enjoyed by everybody. I've said this for a long time. If you play on easy difficulty or very easy difficulty, not that I'm playing this right now, I'm doing 150 cc's. 200 is a little bit too hard. I still haven't even gotten all the gold trophies there. Trying to slowly unlock gold Metal Mario. But yeah, at least we're ahead by quite a bit. I'm gonna hold on to this banana as long as I can potentially here, so that we don't run into any potential problems. I cannot stop a blue shell with a banana peel. This is going to be very unfortunate for it. But fortunately, we were ahead by quite a bit. Now it looks like they're slowly starting to catch up. But yeah, you know, so I kind of play for the most part, for funsies. That's why I was like, don't keep recommending metagame stuff, because metagame then it's so boring. I should have probably done Monster Type. I know, who plays late on the Yoshi cycle of all things, right? That just seems silly, but hey, it looks cool. We got our first race done. I'm gonna be picking kind of random tracks today. Stuff I'm gonna try to divvy it up between the original tracks that came from the base game, as well as DLC tracks. We're gonna be going for about 2 hours today. Good thing about Mario Kart also is I can yap quite a bit, and I did listen to you guys from the last time, so I did put the icon up on the top right corner. That way you can actually see how many laps are left, how I'm doing in terms of the place that I'm in, because I understand the last Mario Kart 8 Deluxe stream that we did, a lot of that information was blocked. I understand if you're just coming into the stream, you would be lost as to what place I'm in, right? So I do definitely understand that. So how was everybody's weekend? My weekend was, it was filled with working on a lot of projects. That's the only thing that I could necessarily talk about. There was a lot of projects that was going on. It was a lot of typing, a lot of video editing, a lot of light, I guess you would consider it, graphic design work. Nothing really like too super. On top of that, also I was doing I guess you could say work for a client of mine, and that kind of prevented me from doing really a lot of stuff on the weekend. Like I know some people have been asking why I haven't done weekend content streams like on Sundays and stuff, or live streaming. And especially that I've kind of returned to Twitch, but there's a reason for that. Like I said, there's so many other personal projects that are going on, as well as like business projects, that I can't really... I'm spread out a little bit too thin at the moment, so I apologize. This is probably also going to affect, not super big for Dreadscape Gaming, the channel itself, but there's probably going to be a little bit of slowdown in regards to the amount of content that I'm going to be producing over the next couple weeks. I don't think it's going to affect anything too much this week. But next week, I think you're only going to get 2 installments of stuff. And I'll try to still do a Twitch stream, but I don't know, because again, the client that I'm working for at the moment, it's kind of eating up a lot of physical time. Uh-oh, blue shell there. That's not good. Just pop that coin there. I always make the mistake of trying to pop the coin right as I'm making him with blue shell. Wow, what are the chances I'm going to get with a freaking blue shell and then lightning? You know, it's also the I don't want to say crappy part, but kind of sucky part about being first in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that when you're in first place consistently through the race, everybody's going to be then hitting you with the red shells, the blue shells. There's a high potential that you might get sandbagged by somebody who's just kind of in the back, because that's a viable strategy. Case in point, here we got sandbagged. We're pretty far ahead that we're not... Oh man, what are the chances of getting hit with blue and then fall by red? Look how much distance they gained there. So like, one of the things that people like to do is, like, they like to be, like, in 3rd, 4th place to get better items, and then they do that, and then hit you with all these stuff so they can kind of sneak into 1st place towards the very end. It's not as big of a problem, but it does happen in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. In Mario Kart World, like, because they made that controversial change, where you have to play, like, intermission, as they call them, or the highway races, to be able, and you don't play, like, traditional tracks. A lot of the strategy that's used for those is always sandbagging, which a lot of people are not very happy about, because they say that it's kind of boring and lame. You know, I personally don't have Mario Kart World, so I haven't been able to try out the intermission tracks to see if they're really as annoying as people are saying. I mean, obviously with a game called Mario Kart World, you would assume that the game itself is trying to push people into the open world aspect and the new mechanics of the game. I do understand there's some people who just want to play the traditional tracks, you know, the traditional free lap courses like it's been in the previous games. And obviously picking random when they were playing the main attraction mode was the way to kind of alleviate that, and then Nintendo patched it. But, you know, I want to play devil's advocate here, right? Like, I understand from people who are hardcore Mario Kart players that, I don't want to call them professional, but they might, like, stream this for a living, or they might play this game, you know, for a living in terms of content. I can definitely understand why you would be frustrated that the style of the game has changed. Even though I understand the opposite viewpoint is that they did that so that everybody kind of has a chance to win races, and it's equal kind of level playing field, and just because they wanted to push more of the newer mechanics into the game. And you have to understand too, like, it's an open world game, right? So you want to kind of deviate and change the formula all the time. Like, I mean, okay, obviously with Mario Kart you expect it to be free laps, race online, use the items, etc., and that's just kind of how it goes. You know, I just realized this is probably the worst bike to be using for this course because it drifts inward, right? And there's not like a lot of opportunities for me to drift on the sharp turns there because there's the pitfall things, you know, the little mud areas. So we missed the ramp here. See, like when I cut here, it's going to be difficult because it slows me down when I run into that. So we don't have like the life hack here to be able to do well on this particular course. Maybe this was going to be the consequences of my actions, perhaps, here. But yes, so, as I was getting at, you know, so I understand, like, regular OG's frustration, and I also understand new players who were wanting that different experience and want to feel like they can actually hang in online matches, and it doesn't have to be, you know, the usual courses and laps. And I understand Nintendo's perspective of wanting to push the open world aspects, because if you spend a lot of time obviously developing a new game, you want your players to spend the most time in those new modes and in those styles and playing it the specific way that you wanted them to enjoy it. However, at the same time, when you think it from a consumer perspective, when a game or a style of a game stops being fun for a specific portion that play this game, that bought this game specifically, probably even bought their Nintendo Switch 2, just for Mario Kart World, and we're expecting a very similar style formula to the older game, you perhaps don't want to upset those content creators, those loyalists either, right? Because they, realistically, a lot of them are nowadays, everybody in this day and age is a content creator, right? So you understand, like, you could upset them, and they will, you know, make, I don't want to say negative, but critical videos in which they kind of pick apart this decision, which could then, you know, in theory, influence a lot of people who haven't bought the Nintendo Switch 2, or were on the fence of buying a Nintendo Switch 2 for Mario Kart World. We're in first place. I had to make some type of concession. I'm sorry that I don't want to move that icon that I have because it's a watermark, because I don't want people using my footage for our videos and use my gameplay. That's why I have the watermark there. So, it's fine. We'll know who's winning by the end of this anyway. But yeah, so, you know, I understand that thing. I think what Nintendo should do, and I hope Nintendo is perhaps listening, or some type of representative, I think really what you just need to do for Mario Kart World is keep that mode right now the way it is with the intermissions and the random thing, but I think they need to introduce a traditional classic mode where you can just play the free lap races, the courses that people want to. I mean, giving your player base options, giving your player base more options to play the game in different, like, modes is never necessarily a bad thing, and I think Nintendo and the devs of Mario Kart World are not dumb. They will understand the pushback, they will understand things. I think they will listen. I think they will probably then introduce a mode. I don't think they're going to revert the change, because it's hard to revert a change like that, because you have a big portion of the player base that's perfectly fine with randomized not being the random courses. Some people like. I'm not saying I do, because again, I have not played Mario Kart World yet. I do not have a sponsorship from Nintendo. Nintendo has not sent me a console, Switch 2, to play on. I mean, if they were interested in doing so, I suppose we can do some business in the future in that retrospect, because I would love to get hands-on with it and try the game out for myself and give my own opinions in regards to that retrospect. But, you know, As I said, Broke Boys Rise Up. It's $500 for, at the moment, one game, and the price of the games right now, well, no disrespect, Nintendo, a little bit kind of much to ask for in this economy, $8, but not $8, $80. If there were $8 games, everybody would be owning Switch 2 if the system was that, right? So yeah, you know. Oh, this is also a fun story. One of my favorite tracks. I love Animal Crossing. I know I never really play it on this channel, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I love Animal Crossing. I really, really enjoy Animal Crossing. So I really enjoy this track too. Uh-oh, we're getting hit with Blue Turtle Shell. At least when you're in first, right? And then we got followed up by the lightning too. Man, we're getting sandbagged a little bit, one might say. So yeah, you know, so I think that the middle ground there is just going to be for Nintendo to introduce a new mode. I don't think they can, like, release it in the next update, because I don't think Nintendo and devs can work that hard. But I would figure, we're in the summer, right? I could see them doing something like that for the fall. Like, for a major fall update, where they introduce maybe a new online mode and a classical mode. I could see them doing that. But I don't see them reverting the change, because it's not... If they revert the change entirely, then it means that they are giving into player base, which is rare. I've not seen Nintendo generally do pushback on decisions that they make, because, like, remember when Switch and Nintendo Online was free? And there was a big campaign for them to revert that wasn't great and stuff. Did Nintendo ever change that? No, when now you have people paying, you know, I'm not, like, saying it from a critical standpoint, but you have people that are paying, like, $50, $70 to play, like, GameCube games and N64 games with their subscription service to be able to play their games online. Well, first place was 60. That was a flawless run there, if I don't say so myself. So that was a good run. Yeah, but, you know, so I don't see Nintendo pushing back. Nintendo's never really pushes back on their decisions with stuff. So, like, even look at Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Where was the patch that actually fixed the game? It was called the Nintendo Switch 2. A $500 patch to fix Scarlet and Violet's frame rate. Yeah, so, you know, they never fixed that, so I don't see Nintendo giving into pushbacks, but I could see them introducing classic mode, because you don't want people who might be interested in buying the game and then hear the negativity of this. We're gonna play Peach. I'm not gonna play with this. The recommended thing, I believe, for this was the buggy. It's a buggy thing that you guys... There it is. Excuse me, I'm a little tired. It's been a long week. Bitty Buddy will keep the rollers, I think they recommended, was it? I'm looking up because I'm checking my notes here, so please, I apologize in advance. Yeah, the rollers and that. It said Bitty Buddy. I don't know. This doesn't look like this is going to be a very fast vehicle for Peach. This just looks like this is cosmetic. Alright, Royal Highway Race. We'll take that. So, there's that. And other things that we could really discuss. Anybody got a chance to check out Sameko Saba's debut? That was a crazy debut, wasn't it, guys? Like, I thought it was going to be pretty big, because they seem to, as a brand new indie VTuber, have, like, a really, really big established following. So I was really shocked, I guess, because, like, the day of their debut, they were already at, like, 562 subs. I think by the time the stream actually started, that's never a good thing. Not when the stream started, but that we blew out our tires there, because that's going to make it harder to... I don't like the way this vehicle handles already, so we might be in some trouble. I don't like the way she takes the turns here. But I digress. That's not important. We'll hit her with the red shell right now to get first place. Okay, there we go. Still first place from them. But I thought it was pretty interesting, the debut. They had the Omocat. They were at 562 subs in the afternoon, and then I think that as the debut went on, they were at like 600. I don't know what the current number is, but I think they were close to pushing 1 million, so that was pretty cool. I really thought the design was nice. I thought the design was pretty cool. I like the concept regarding the fish with the cat ears. So it's kind of like, it's a catfish in a way, but they didn't necessarily say they were a catfish, which I think is kind of a nice, cool little nuance to the character. And they knew Senzawa, who I'm not personally familiar with, per se, but everybody knows I know Yerv, Rat King from Dead by Daylight, and there were a couple times that Senzawa in particular um, had Dead by Daylight streams that not Zerf, excuse me, Yer redirected to. So I was a viewer, believe it or not. A lot of people don't know this, of Senzawa's content, particularly when they did a lot of Dead by Daylight streams. So it was very surprising that Saba knows Senzawa. So that was kind of cool. So, you know, I checked out the debut, obviously, because I wanted to see what was going on. Because it was interesting. It was a big, like, YouTube thing, big YouTube moment. And, no, it was cool. It was very entertaining, very, very fun. They seemed very happy and energetic. So I wish Sameko Saba the very best in their VTuber journey as a new indie VTuber. I don't think they're going to have any problem based on those numbers. They seem to be doing just fine. But yeah, wishing them definitely the best in regards to their thing. I was happy that I was able to check out the debut stream, and as well as I got to take a look at the karaoke. So definitely, you know, that was pretty cool. Obviously, probably, you know, I'm very busy with all the stuff that's going on, me personally. So I probably will maybe in the future catch VODs and stuff, and it's not like I could watch live quite a bit. I'm also these days not really a big chatter when it comes to like streams, especially ones that are that big in chat, just because, like, you know, the chat goes by very fast, and you always are worried that maybe you unintentionally step on somebody's toes, not wanting to. So yeah, you know, there's that retrospect, but, you know, I will definitely continue to watch on video on demand, and maybe if I can every once in a while catch a live, I will. I don't know, because it's very, you know, obviously during the week, I mostly stream at that time too. So, you know, obviously it's a conflict, not conflict of interest, but it's obviously I'm doing my own things around that time, so I'll have to catch a lot more VODs perhaps. Yeah, but that was a really good debut. So, you know, we wish them the best. I don't really get to watch, like I said, I'm not really watching VTubers these days, so that was like a rare exception to the rule, because I haven't really watched anybody else per se. Right? Let me think about that carefully. Have I? No, I haven't. I think Sameko was literally the only one I've watched in a long time. I just don't really keep up to it. We're off to a bad start here. We're off to a really bad start, man. We've been, like, having our victories stolen from us. We're gonna have to clutch out here, right? But, yeah, so there's that. Has anybody heard the news going on in regards to the developers of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game? Now, for those of you who don't know, Gun Entertainment, I think? I forget. It's Gun. They're the developers of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They were also in partnership with Ilphonic, the developers of Friday the 13th, the game. Not too long ago, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, via Gun Media, announced that they would no longer be updating Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that they allegedly had reached their peak in regards to what they could do with the game, which I think is a load of, I can't block that with a banana, this is gonna be rough for us. But I'm really mad about this turtle shell. I hate, and then I got thundered right afterwards. You know that was the Shy Guy that was doing it. But yeah, in regards to Gun Media, like, they said they had plateaued with Texas Chainsaw Massacre and everything, which is BS. I'll just be honest, it's kind of BS. They just didn't have really good sales, they had a very low player base, and they decided they no longer wanted to continue developing for that game, because they wanted to move on to the next IP. In fact, in their announcement, they said, oh, be on the lookout for our next IP that we're excited to be discussing in the future. Which I think is kind of a smack in the face to people who own Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because there were a lot of people that were asking for more transparency. We won that race, so that was good. A little bit more clarity as to what was going on in regards to that. And they basically pulled the rug out from under all their users. I mean, obviously, the player base was bad. The game itself needed a lot of balancing issues and things balanced that they never really addressed. And the other thing, too, with Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the fact that they only had the license for the first movie. And there's not too much you can do with the first movie, and they tried to create, like, unique characters, which I think was fine, but then they, like, the way they priced their DLC was a big issue, and the fact that they made DLC characters, for all intents and purposes, paid to win. So if you didn't own paid characters and you didn't buy like all the cosmetics that were well, not so much the cosmetics, but the DLC characters, you probably weren't going to be able to play or do well in Texas Chainsaw Massacre the game. And then when you looked at some of their choices that they did with that DLC too, like for example, what was it, the Greg Nicotero Leatherface as like a $20 skin, and I think they did a throwback skin to the movie that was a $20 skin. And when you look at like cosmetic choices, like they were very pricey. Even like one DLC character was like $9, like as opposed to like releasing all these things like in a pack, which would have probably went over a little bit more well with people. That kind of like where they shot themselves in the foot. I don't like, another thing that always kind of baffled me was like when they made the pass, because I understand when you make battle passes for video games, that's usually because you have a lot of players that are still playing your game. But when they introduced this like battle pass system for Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the game, there was always already a very low player base. So I don't understand why you would introduce another way to milk your player base for money when you don't like have the actual player base to really back it, and you're just gonna, I don't want to say create ill will, but create more bad will among people. And then they released, what else did they do? They released a new mode, Rush Week, right? And this is the thing where I think also they kind of shot themselves in the foot. Rush Week, they said, oh, it was going to be a brand new free mode. And the way they worded it made it seem like it was going to be a free-to-play mode. That you're going to be able to play this mode without actually owning the base game of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then come upon the release of it, we find out that you have to actually buy the base game of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which at already, at that point, it had the reputation of nobody's really playing this game. It's a very small, dedicated group of less than like 500 people. And what ended up happening then is they just kind of continued to push it that way, and then when people found out it was just another thing that anybody was necessarily interested in peeping out the game, didn't. And I think they tried like free to play weekend on Xbox, and I know they had it on the Game Pass. That was another crazy thing. They do the announcement of it's on Game Pass, and then they pulled the game, and then they made the announcement that they weren't going to be developing anymore for the game. So it's kind of weird that they had the Game Pass thing, and then it's like, well, what's the point in playing it? Did we get first? We did. Okay, here. Like that was very confusing for me too, because it's just like weird developer decisions. Like, and they're doing all those things instead of like trying to fix the game for the people who are your current player base that were very unhappy about how unbalanced it was and how many glitches they had and other things. So, you know, it's quite perplexing. I don't understand too. And then I think like one of our big like black eyes for Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the fact that they were the social media team and the people who were the developers of it committed basically career suicide with their tweets. So like when TCM came out in the beginning, a lot of people who were Dead by Daylight content creators, as well as our horror fans, gave it a look, right? And played the game, and there's certain nitpicks about it that they had, that they felt were very unbalanced and not fun, and were going to be a problem for the game's longevity. And they voiced them. And the head developer, Wes Kettner, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, went on social media and kind of was critiquing these people, like, oh, well, if you want to play Dead by Daylight, go play Dead by Daylight instead, and not. And, you know, there's a way you handle it, where, like, on social media, where you're like, oh, I understand that you are hoping that this game could be changed a little bit. We have a specific, unique vision that we think makes for a good core and foundation that sets ourselves up separately from Dead by Daylight. And we are confident that this is the direction and style of the game that we want to go in. You say something along those lines. However, we'll take your feedback into consideration in regards to the future development of this game. Please continue to make suggestions as to what you would like to see implemented or how we could do better. He didn't do that. Instead, he was like, oh, well, if you want to go play Dead by Daylight, that game, go play Dead by Daylight, and don't play Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And when you say stuff like that, I'm gonna try to slow down here so I don't get hit by the blue shell here. Okay, good, so we can steal first place. Next level strats there, perhaps. So, what ended up happening when you say a tweet like that is, first of all, anybody who's looking to play the game beyond that open beta, because I was during the open beta week, they did for the game, if they see something like that and they feel a certain way, which was... I was a big fan of Friday the 13th, the game, but when I saw TCM do that, I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't know if I'm gonna really kind of rock with that. Because, you know, that's just not a very good look for a game developer to be bashing people like that. So, on top of that, like, you drive away new players, and then Dead by Daylight, which has a very big player base that's always looking to play a different ASIM. Look at all the Dead by Daylight players that play Phasmophobia, despite the fact I feel like Phasmophobia sometimes can... How many things are we gonna get hit by there? God damn. The game really doesn't want us to be in first place at all for this particular race. I feel kind of peeved there. God damn it, Wario, was that you? But, yeah, so, you know, when you look at things of that nature, too, it's like, why would you alienate the Dead by Daylight player base when you need them? They're a big player base with a lot of money, and they wouldn't mind playing another game if you let them. Or why would you say stuff like that? Like, at one point, Texas Chainsaw Massacre had Dead by Daylight content like your Polyester, who we all know as a Fog Whisperer, as well as other people who were just tired of Dead by Daylight playing the game. And you say something like that, and those people left automatically. I don't even think... Yerv, I think, played for the beginning of the TCM when it came out more, and slowly dropped off when devs continued to say stuff that was unbecoming. Polyester, I think, passed the beta, didn't play too much, maybe once or two times, and the devs continued to get a bit more passive-aggressive with stuff. You know, so much so that people flocked to Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game, and back to Dead by Daylight as opposed to TCM. And as time went on, you saw other developers, I think it was in Gun, like Matt, that said stuff because he was upset at being, like, told that he was a terrible person, and I guess he had his breaking point. And then he was, like, just bashing fans. And the thing is, like, you can have a bad day and you can crash out as a game developer. I totally understand that, and people who are gamers can be real jerks sometimes and real, like, asses, and they can kind of take things too far, like with death threats and stuff, which I don't think is cool. I don't think you ever do that to game developers. But from a different thing, everything we're doing, again, is recommendations that you gave. They're, like, cosmetic here, so we're not playing, like, super meta games. So if I don't win a lot of these races, or I don't win every race in the cup, please understand that, okay? Because I'm trying my best here. But, you know, like, there's a way with devs, like, sometimes I think, like, crashing out on social media about gamers is just gonna warrant more negative energy. I remember me personally on my IRL tried to talk to Matt and tried to talk to West at one point, saying that I felt like this is a really bad look of how you're conducting yourself because it hurts the sales of your game and it hurts the reputation of their game. And Matt had a back and forth with me and blocked me because of that. And Wes did not block me, but Wes, I remember, had said something cynical at 1.2. You know, which is within their rights, right? Like, you know, you can have your way to feel. But as a person who played Friday the 13th, I hated to see developers that I was friendly with and cool with go so passive-aggressive because the game wasn't doing well. And their expectations and stuff and the way it was received wasn't. You know, like, was TCM a failure? Yeah, I would say it was definitely a failure. They made money, but I feel like a lot of stuff that happened was kind of self-sabotage from Gun. Which makes me apprehensive because the thing that I was originally going to talk about, and then we got into this tirade of Gun, is that Gun Media Entertainment, whatever the hell you call them, Gun, is going to be making a new game. And the rumor on the street, I don't know, this isn't 100% confirmed yet, so don't take this as the word, the actual truth. Word. This is just word on the street, the rumor. The rumor going around concurrently is that Gun is allegedly working on a Halloween asymmetrical game. Now, I would love to see a Halloween game that's I don't necessarily think it should be asymmetrical, because I would prefer single-player experience games, but allegedly, they're working on an ASIM game. Allegedly, the rumor. I don't have any foregone knowledge to this. A heads up. I don't know anything, even though I was a former games journalist. I don't have any leaks or anything of the sort that is proving this. This is just a rumor on the streets that they're developing for Halloween. And now apparently maybe there's like a Halloween the game is coming. And I'll just be honest with you, after what happened with Friday the 13th, where a lot of that, yes, was the lawsuit's fault. But then, like, when you start to see some of the stuff that happened with TCM, it makes you start to wonder if, like, in terms of other things that they could have done in terms of game balancing, whether they really couldn't work on that. Because they were able to fix bugs and stuff. Why couldn't they nerf and de-nerf, like, characters? Like, I'm starting to wonder if that really how much of the lawsuit truly held back Friday the 13th the game development or not. But like, when you see what happened with Friday the 13th the game, and you see what happened with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you would be incredibly apprehensive to want to trust Gunn with another ASIM, particularly one with Michael Myers on Halloween franchise. And then here's the thing too, if, let's say, Gunn were doing Halloween, if you don't get the license to do all the Halloween movies, and it's just a nurse situation where you only have license to the first movie, and you can only make, I don't know, survivors and, you know, Michael Myers skin based on just that one character, you're gonna run into the same problem in TCM, and you'll limit yourself. I mean, like, if they were to get the license, even though, again, I would hope a different publisher gets the license to do a Halloween ASIM game, like, my wish list for it would be, like, I would like to have it so that you could play as different Michael Myers that played differently, very similar to, like, Friday the 13th the game with the Jason Voorhees, where you could play as Michael Myers from, like, Part 1, Part 2, you know, obviously they have cosmetic differences, you know, Halloween 4 and 5, because I don't think necessarily you need them, where they had those looks, you know, have survivors from those games, you know. Maybe you slowly introduce survivors via, you know, I don't want to necessarily say DLC packs, because I hate the idea of games these days releasing. Like, I don't mind cosmetic DLCs because they don't affect the game, but I do mind when you introduce characters that could potentially break the metagame, or that then you have to buy them to be able to keep up. Like, I love Dead by Daylight, don't get me wrong, but I hate, like, trying to keep up with chapters when I don't play Dead by Daylight just to have perks to be able to get, like, the stuff for my Air Killers on it, or my Air Survivors. Like, I hate to do that. That's why I stopped buying chapters, like, everything that came out. Like, I know a lot of people wanted me to take a look at the Five Nights at Freddy's DLC, but I might not check it out for a while, maybe in September, if I'm, you know, still doing content. I'll check it out then, because I just, like, I don't feel like paying $5, I'll be honest. Not because I'm a brokey necessarily, but I don't feel like paying $5 for a chapter that I'm probably gonna touch the killer once, and I'm never gonna, like, play it seriously. Like, I have Air Killers that I do that for. I play seriously Michael Myers, you've seen me do Freddy Krueger, Chucky, and even then, that's kind of a grind. So that's why I'm like, even Dead by Daylight, I kind of got tired of it, because it's like, it's a lot. Like, I only buy the things I really know that I'm going to play a lot of. I don't even play a lot of Dead by Daylight anymore, because as I talked about the changes that they've made on the game, to Killer particularly, has not made it very interesting for me to want to play anything outside of custom. And then, like, for Survivor gameplay in solo queue is, you know, it's an experience where you're going to run into that killer that's having a bad day, and it's just going to, like, slug you down. And they've done things to kind of fix that, and they've done things to kind of not. Or you're gonna run into a group where, like, the person's, like, not doing the objective, and it's making it difficult to. So then the game's kind of become, like, stressful. You know? And that's why I spend a lot of time just playing customs. So, like, I got to a point where it's like, why I keep buying stuff if I'm not, like, actually playing ranked with... I think the Lightning Storm, yeah, the Lightning there saved us from the blue shell. If not, that was gonna be very, very, very bad for us. But yeah, you know, so, like, yeah, if they do a Halloween, whoever, God, I hope it's not Gunn now, I can't stress this enough. My wish list would be, first off, different Michael Myers that you can play as, different survivors, different... I know, obviously, Haydenfield's the map, but different maps that you can play on. I don't think you release a game without these things right from the start. Like, you don't have to release everything. You could do, like, then updates in the future, but I feel like you have to have, like, a good foundation in the beginning. So it's not just, like, just the Halloween the First film franchise. Like, you could probably even do the Rob Zombie movies if you can, because I think it's all within the same license. The other thing, too, with it, is, like, if you do this stuff, I can't stress this enough, if you're going to make this a asymmetrical horror game, I want certain modes to be available for those of people who maybe just want to enjoy the game, but not just play 100% online. Like, I think it's important. This is what happened, that TCM doesn't have this, and this is kind of what's going to kill TCM, and even killed it now. I think you definitely need a offline mode that can be played offline. I think you need an offline mode not necessarily connected to the internet, very similar to how Friday the 13th did it, where you can play the game offline, or you can play it offline if you're even connected to the internet to earn, like, experience points. I think you need that mode just because there's going to be people who want to practice. And, you know, sometimes when you're practicing games as either a survivor or a killer, this is why Dead by Daylight Customs is so good. And this is why I think Behavior has the formula quite right for certain things and then kind of wrong for everything. I think that's kind of important. Is that you do have that mode so people can practice, or that people who just want to enjoy the game but they don't want to, like, play online because maybe their net's not great, or maybe, you know, they don't want to play super sweaty. Like, you give those people, those casual audiences who are horror fans that are just buying the game for that license. That was terrible on my part there. I blew my tires out. That's what I get for rambling, I suppose. But yeah, like, I think you have to give players that option, because it just, like, more modes is never a bad thing. For the life of me, I don't understand why TCM refused to do it, because, like, it's something so easy that would make their game so better and keep the game's longevity, even past when the servers die. But it's like, I don't know, I guess I kind of want to kill it. So that was kind of a deal breaker for me. I like the fact that Killer Clowns from Outer Space has that, where you have offline play, and you can play offline and you can level up characters. My only deal breaker with is you always have to be connected to the internet for it. Because, you know, obviously DRM, Demanver, is like the thing that all our developers are doing. Obviously they come out Paris. But then at the same point, it's like, when I play a game, I kind of want to be able to play it. If it says offline, like, I want to be able to play it on Steam Deck where I don't have to be connected to internet. Or, like, if I'm playing my Switch, because there's going to be times when I take my Switch and traveling and I don't want to, like, root my cell phone to give it internet, because if I root my cell phone and give it internet, the plan I have in particular, I don't have, like, super unlimited data, because I don't necessarily need it. I'm not a really big cell phone person, believe it or not. Like, I now have unlimited talking text. But, like, if I'm using the internet, most of the time I'm on my computer using internet. I'm not, that's kind of me and stuff, so I don't really like to, so I don't need a lot of major data plan, only, like, check some feature and there. And, you know, unlimited data plans plus everything's is expensive. It's much more economical for me to do things the way that I'm doing than currently on my plan. But yeah, so, you know, if I'm playing on my Switch, I don't want to have to root data just to be able to connect to disconnect. That's kind of why I hated about what is it, Diablo 2? When I did Diablo 2, I don't have it on the Switch, but I had Diablo 2 on the PC. And a lot of the times that stuff that would bother me with Diablo 2 is the fact that, like, after 30 days when you're playing on a computer, maybe you're, like, offline or you're traveling and the hotel Wi-Fi is bad, you would be disconnected and have to log into the servers for that. And then on the Switch it was the same way with that, which was always kind of annoying, which is why I didn't buy it. Surprised we were able to get back into First Air, because I felt like we didn't play that necessarily very well. Let me see if I can take a sip of this water here. Yapping is kind of... Yeah, but, you know, so I think it's kind of important to have those type of modes. Another thing that I definitely feel like it should have for it is a, like, single-player campaign, right? Not just an offline mode where you can do, but a single-player campaign. Or you have objections, you have missions. Like Friday the 13th, the game. I hate to use a comparison, but Friday the 13th Jason challenges were pretty cool. The virtual cabin, I felt like they could have done more with it. But, like, those things are kind of important for a game. Like, I like the way that Evil Dead the game did their single-player mode. The only problem with Evil Dead the game is that, again, you have to be connected. And that was more of an issue because of freaking Epic Games, because I bought it on Epic Games because that's where it came out and it was exclusive for a while, and then when they released it on Steam, I don't know how they handle it in Steam, but I would assume you had to always be connected to play the modes too. And the thing about Evil Dead the game's single-player campaign, it was a good single-player campaign, but there were some missions that were just brutally difficult, and they never gave players the option to change the difficulty on them. And for a while, up until a very large part of the lifespan of the game, you couldn't unlock certain characters unless you finished the story mode, which made it like, and the objectives in the story mode, which made it difficult. Eventually, they changed their tune and made all the characters unlockable. Not the DLC characters, keep that in mind, but the regular characters unlockable from the start. I never bought all the DLC from Evil Dead the game, because when the game started to like not get balanced, and we started to not get maps, I stopped playing the game. And like, I was trying to enjoy the game when the player base was dwindling, with like play with AI and stuff, but and also like play against AI with other players, but what would always happen is people would run off. Objective would never really truly be done. So then like what ended up happening was I just like uninstalled the game and stopped playing it all entirely. That's kind of why I never bought the Ghostbusters game too, that was done by Ilphonic, which was Ghostbusters Spirit Unleashed, because they had like a solo player, offline play thing that you could do, which was fine. But I think you can't experience like the story mode because you had to be connected, if I'm not mistaken. So like, it was a game I was interested in. It was a game that I was very interested in because I know they put it out on the Nintendo Switch as well. And I'm like a Ghostbusters fan because I have the original Ghostbusters, the game remastered, which is something I always wanted to play on the channel, but I could never play it because there's copyrighted music that plays, because it obviously plays sound effects from the movies. But man, I wanted to play that game. And I was also upset because like Saber Interactive, same people that did Evil Dead the game, abandoned Ghostbusters Remastered. They promised us a multiplayer update, and we never got the multiplayer update. It was supposed to be a multiplayer update that was going to be different from the original game, and it never came out. So we never got that like online play that we were promised for it, which kind of really killed like the longevity of the game, because once you played the game in the story mode and you got like the golden items and you did everything, there's not much reason to keep playing the game. So like Spirits Unleashed was interesting because it was like an ASIM Ghostbusters game, and they released it. But then when I found out like you can't like compete in the story offline, you have to always be connected. It's like a deal breaker for the Nintendo Switch, because like the whole point of a Nintendo Switch game, and Switch 2 game for that matter, is to be able to take it with you on the go, and sometimes you're not going to have like the internet connected, which I never understood why they develop games then for the Switch that don't have offline modes or always have to be connected when the system's a handheld system. I've never truly understood this, like, right? So that's why like when I buy stuff on the Switch now, I kind of make sure that I can play it offline, or it has like modes where it is, or it doesn't need to be connected to the internet 24/7, because then I can't play it. Right? Or if, like, I can play it, but, like, only when I'm at home and the internet's connected, right? Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand, guys, why they make games like that now. You know, I miss those days when you could just pop in a disc and you just play a game like Devil May Cry, or Metal Gear Solid, or Shadow the Hedgehog, or anything of the sort, and you just played. You know, and there wasn't, like, DLC updates, and there wasn't, like, paid DLC. And there wasn't, like, any other thing. Like, even GTA 5, right? GTA 5, yeah, when they made the online part, that has to be connected to the internet. But you could still play GTA 5 on the PS3 without ever touching or connecting to the internet. And you'd be just fine, despite the fact that you would probably have some game-breaking glitches. And I have GTA 5 on the PlayStation, as well as I have GTA 5 on the PC. I didn't really play too much of the online mode, because unfortunately when you buy certain games on PC, there's a lot of hackers, right? There's a lot of hackers that make the game like really difficult to be able to do some of the stuff, right? Let's hope we don't blow our tires. Okay, good. Yes, I'm going to be playing now Funky Kong. This one's also a recommendation that you gave. Mr. Scooty. The Azure tires, I believe I picked here? Or was it the red tires? The Azure tires, yes. And obviously Paper Glider, because that's like the best glider in the game. Next to the Cloud Glider. So, yeah, you know, so with those things, it's just kind of crazy there. But, you know, I don't know. And again, I'm like, I really hope Halloween the game it's not. Again, I would like to see it Ilphonic, because I think Ilphonic's been doing a pretty good job. I like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I kind of regret that I refunded that game after like an hour of playing it, because they did like the new update and it looks cool, and now people have gravitated towards the game. I'm waiting for the game to like go on super discount, because I would definitely be interested in giving it another goal in the future, because it does definitely look fun as long as they don't like sunset it. Waiting for like a really deep discount for that, because I think like they have the right idea for their game. It was pretty fun. It was a little glitchy, but I think it was pretty fun. You know, so there's that. So I can't believe we talked about like game developers and stuff for the first hour, but there was that. You know, I also, again, like, I'm interested in playing some pinball games, because I don't know if these guys know, but I have footage of, and stuff I want to talk about in regards to, like, Pinball M, which is a horror pinball thing. There's, like, a lot of pinball tables from horror franchises, such as Chucky's Killer Pinball, which is something I plan to play in the not-too-distant future here on the channel, that I definitely want to try out. I also have Pinball FX free, but I don't have all the tables from that, because they don't put those on sale anymore, those, which is kind of disappointing, because one, the Jaws table was like $9, and then also Pinball FX, which you would think is the older game. No, it's actually the sequel, or newer one to Pinball FX free. I wish some of my tables would carry over to FX, like, I have, like, the Zeus table that they gave away. Sorcerer's Lair did carry over because that one was already in the game. And I wish that it's Sorcerer's and Fishtails, which obviously carries over because that was always free. But I also have the South Park tables. I have South Park and the Burgers one. I've been having a difficult time with the South Park table because I feel like the left bumper is very unfair with the pinball mechanics. So it has a high potential of the ball draining. For people who are not familiar with pinball, ball drain just basically means when the ball falls through the center, you don't have a free chance to be able to get the ball back, so you don't lose basically a life. And in South Park 1, from what I've played, it's very unfair on the left side. And I feel like the physics are kind of feel a bit off compared to Fishtails, which I've played a ton of Fishtails. I cannot tell you how much I've played of Fishtails. I really enjoy Fishtails as a pinball machine because back when I was growing up, when I was your age, young chat, I used to go to the movie theaters. And in the movie theaters, they had arcade machines. And one of the arcade machines that they had was an arcade machine by the name of Fishtails. And Fishtails was a token and quarter eating machine. I used to go to bowling alleys. How many of you know even what a bowling alley is? And in bowling alleys, they had arcade machines and pinball machines. And you guessed it, something that I used to run into quite a lot was the Fishtails Pinball Arcade. Also, when I used to go on vacation to Florida, because I used to go to Disney World with my mom growing up as a kid, as well as my sister, we used to stay at a hotel that's no longer even in Florida anymore, by the name of, what was it called? The Gateway Inn. Yes, that was the name. And then it became the Pelican Inn, I think, towards the end of it. And I think it also was the Howard Johnson at one point towards the end. At one point it was called the Pelican afterwards, because they had like a toucan, a pelican. And there, they had like a game room, like every hotel in Florida. If you've ever been to one, I can't really speak so much for like Holiday Inns, you know, or like the Days Inn, because I never stayed in hotels like that. I stayed at something that was called the High Q. I think it's called like the Sheridan now, It's that hotel in Florida where it's like this giant cylinder that's on the International Drive, right? So that's where I would stay as a kid a couple of times, right? And then my mom discovered something that was a little bit closer to when Universal Studios had opened up. And was called the Gateway Inn. It was very, very close to Universal. Like, crazy, crazy close. Like, you could take a taxi from the hotel to Universal and it wouldn't cost you a lot. Even though the hotel had its own hotel service for it, right? And she found that, and that's how we went there. And that one had, like, a game room. I played a lot of Fishtails. So, like, I've grown up playing Fishtails pinball. I was never very good as a kid, because as a kid, you don't understand pinball mechanic. But as I've gotten older, I've started to have, like, a newfound appreciation for pinball games, because I think they're really, really cool. Just because, like, there's a lot of science that goes involved in physics, which you don't get a lot of. So, you know, so I'd like to try some of those pinball games. I don't think we'll get to play multiple in a session, but I'd like to play some of the Pinball FX, some of the Pinball FX Free, some of the Pinball M. Well, I only have one table on Pinball M. I only have the Chucky table. Because the tables are kind of expensive. You know, they're like $5 a table. And they go on sale very seldomly, but they do go on sale. Like for summer, winter sales and stuff like that. Like, I'd like to pick up the Williams one, but I definitely want to, like, try more pinball stuff. Because it's cool, you know. But, like, in Florida, too, like, those Florida hotels. So, like, I stayed at the Gateway Inn, and then became the Pelican. I stayed at the Haiku, that then became the Marriott. I never stayed at, like, Days Inns and Motel 6s and stuff. I never did that. Because we always, when we went on vacation, used to stay in the International Drive. Like, right on the International Drive. So, like, there was the IHOP there. There was this, like, tourist trap where it was, like, a haunted house that was called Skull Kingdom. There was a water park called Wet n Wild. Wet n Wild is no longer there in Florida, to my knowledge. I haven't been to Florida in a long, long time. I haven't been to Florida. You know, obviously there's the Magic Kingdom, you know, Disney, the Mouse, Epcot Center, Animal Kingdom. I don't know if Animal Kingdom is still there, but there was Animal Kingdom. I've never been to Animal Kingdom. When Animal Kingdom got open, I was never interested in it because I'm just not a fan of, like, safaris and seeing animals. I live in New York City. I see enough animals as it is every day of the week, practically. So I didn't go. I ended up going back to Epcot and then Epcot Center is probably one of my favorite Disney parks. Even though I haven't been there in years. Like, they had Test Track, that's no longer there. Horizon, I don't know if that ride's even still there. That was a pretty cool ride. I like the pavilions too. Like, they have the you know, different places you could go. So there was the Norway, and there used to be, like, oh god, I forgot the name, but it was like a Norwegian ride based on, like, Viking lore. And that was so freaking cool. They probably took that ride out, because I think they were gutting all the rides to make room for newer ones. There was the Mexican pavilion, where there's, like, some good Mexican restaurants that you could eat in. Like, I really like Epcot, because it was all about innovations, and, like, new technologies. And, like, there was this one ride, oh man, I forgot the name of it, where it told you, the Carousel of Progress, I think it was called. Was that at Epcot? No, that was Magic Kingdom. See, Boomer Brain is forgetting things. You know, I'm getting old, my old age. But, like, it would tell you, like, the innovations of the future. It's kind of crazy, like, all the stuff. But Epcot was all about the future, right? And future technologies. That's why I like that park in particular. That was the main draw. Like, Magic Kingdom, yeah, you get to relive the 2D rides and stuff, but, like, you know, it's all about the innovations that they were doing. So if I liked Epcot, I don't know, I don't even know what the hell is at Epcot Center these days. And then there was, like, Hollywood Studios, as it's called now. But when I used to go, it was MGM Studios. The Great American Movie Ride, that's a really great ride. If you get a good actor, that's a good actor. Because, like, the thing about, like, amusement parks in Florida that make or break a ride is whether or not, like, you have good actors that are the ones working the rides, right? So, like, if you get a good actor that's super, super engaged, you'll have a fun time. If you have one that's, like, having a bad day or not, it'll ruin your experience. you know, so MGM, there was, you know, a lot of rides there that I enjoyed. There was obviously Star Tours, which is probably still there because I think they made that whole area like a Star Wars land, if I'm not mistaken now. Or did they make a whole Star Wars park out of it? I don't even know. It's been years. Anybody in chat, feel free to correct me on this stuff. It's been a long time. Like, when I went to Disney parks, Splash Mountain was still around. I know they closed Splash Mountain. There was Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. There was the Peter Pan ride. Peter Pan ride was a pretty fun one. There was 2,000 Leagues Under the Sea. There was... Saba talked about this, because they saw this via YouTube, I think they said. But I actually got to go on Alien Encounter. It was a ride where you went and you were watching a science experiment, and it broke out, and like the lights would go dark, and you'd feel the breath of the alien, and the lick, and the like spit of the alien, and it would shake, and the whole ride was done in the dark. And then they changed it to the Lilo and Stitch ride, and changed it completely up, and then was like Lilo and Stitch. I like the original one because it was like a really scary alien. The ironic thing is, when that ride very first came out, it took 2 hours, because it was like any brand new ride at a Disney park is like 2 hours the wait time for it. So it took 2 hours to get on the ride, and sometimes the ride would break down and would extend the wait time. So it was like 2 hours for the ride. And then you would get on the ride, and I don't want to be a spoiler for people, but because the ride is no longer available, I'll have like one of my mods put like video footage of it, because there is video footage that you can see on YouTube, and you can check out the ride in your spare time. But like the cool part about it was like, it was a cool ride, but it only lasted about like 3 minutes. So you get on this ride, you wait 2 hours in line for it to just be a 3-minute experience, which I think burned a lot of people. Another reason too that ride they canceled it was because they put warning signs, like if you had heart problems and if you were afraid of things and you were affected by like seizures and stuff, particularly the heart problems though, that this was not the ride for you. And I think there were people who maybe had underlying heart problems that didn't know it, that went on this ride and got like legitimately scared, and would then, you know, get sick on the ride. And I think that's kind of maybe potentially what happened. You know, so there was that. I never got to go to Disney's Typhoon Lagoon. That was like a water park. I've never been there. Because like when you go to Typhoon Lagoon, that's like something that you have to go and be like at a Disney park. And like I mentioned earlier, for those of you just joining us, we're talking about like Disney theme parks in Florida, and as well as Universal. I stayed in a hotel on the International Drive that was closer to Universal theme parks and not the Disney parks. Because Disney parks, you don't know how much money they want to stay in a Disney park. Like a Disney park with the whole passes and stuff nowadays, like that's gonna run you up like $10,000-$15,000 maybe for that trip. Like Disney's super expensive now. You know, whether you go to like the Disneyland or Disney World, but like Disney World's super expensive, particularly for like, you know, like a regular working person that's working 9 to 5 can't afford a Disney vacation. Small streamers like me, let's be real, we can't afford a Disney or Universal Studios vacation on the money that we make as small streamers. Disney or Universal, if you want to sponsor me a Disney vacation or a Universal Studio vacation so that I can like just go on GoPro cam and have experiences with the ride, I am willing to sell out if you're willing to send me and put me up. But yeah, I cannot afford on small streamer money to go to a Disney park or Universal Studios park. I have to wait for a client to send me out to like Universal or Disney and actually do things there. And unfortunately, I am not that fortunate that I have not had a client that is willing to send me out there anytime soon, right? Because why? Disney's expensive. I would have to have Disney or Universal themselves send me out there for client work. But hey, if you guys are listening, just saying, your boy Dread will go if you pay for it, if you sponsor it. Other than that, I won't spend my own money and stuff. Also, you know, obviously, stuff that goes on in the world right now. I don't know. I'd be hesitant to give Florida money. My business. I don't know. I feel like it's a conflict of interest, perhaps. Perhaps, just a little. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Time will tell. Disney sponsorship? When? Yeah, no. I don't think Disney would want to sponsor your boy Dread, because we every once in a while like to let out some curse words, right? We need to vent some of that curse words. That's why I've been doing a lot more Twitch streams, too. Because on Twitch, like, I can put up the parental advisor that I will curse and stuff. And I feel like that's why you notice I haven't really cursed this particular stream here on YouTube. I feel like on YouTube, whenever I let out a curse, YouTube will not show my videos to people, which is kind of screwed up. So I've fallen kind of out in love with YouTube right now. You know, that's why I've been cheating on them with Twitch quite a bit as of late. You know, because it's fun. And, you know, the Twitch stream, you know, it's like spur of the moment fix. I'm leaning towards doing one this week. I might do it in the next one, and you might then get something on Saturday here, maybe? I don't know. Like, I'm not falling out schedules here. This is the Mini Cooper with the wheels. This is, again, another one that was suggested. Every car that I'm playing with, every character, are characters that have been suggested by my viewer base, people via social media that I know, Discords, friends of mine. So I always take them, because we're trying to, like, do different things, because if I just play the Teddy Buggy all the times, it would get pretty stale and bland, you know? Universal Studios also, when I went, was much different than it is now. Like, when I went to Universal Studios, there was Confrontation, there was the Ghostbusters ride, there was Terminator 2 the ride, there was the Hanna-Barbera ride, there was the... Oh, almost went the wrong way. There was the Alfred Hitchcock experience, where that was really cool. Like, if you're a filmmaker, or you're into cinema and film, you can't go to it anymore because they took it out. But, like, there was a Alfred Hitchcock experience thing, where you would go, and they would show you classic movie techniques from Alfred Hitchcock, and they would have, like, the Norman Bates Hotel house, and you would, like, stuff. And there's also, I think it's still there, but there's, like, horror makeups effect thing, where it showed you how to do, like, horror makeup. I don't know if it's still there. I think somebody told me it was still there. I haven't gone in a while, so I wouldn't know. And I thought that was cool. Like, from a filmmaker perspective, that's, like, really cool shit. And also, Universal Studios has, I think it's Island Adventure, maybe it's, they have the Halloween Horror Nights, where you go into those interactive horror mazes. This year, it's going to be from the Jason universe, as it's called now, Friday the 13th. It's Jason, but I guess he's now Jason universe is Jason because of the lawsuit that happened in the Sullivan. So they're going to have a Jason Voorhees, I guess, house, cabin, whatever it's going to be called. And you have Jason experience. That's going to be kind of cool. Because me, I'm a big Friday the 13th fan, in case you don't know. First video I ever put on this channel was Friday the 13th, the game. That's why I'm a little bit salty with, like, what happened with TCM, and just, like, what could potentially be with Halloween, the game. Makes it, like, not great, guys, not great. I just gotta be honest with you. Yeah, but, you know, so Universal Studios had those rides. Like, I think Hanna-Barbera is like the Simpsons ride now. I've never been on the Simpsons ride. My sister Dread, and my niece Dread, they went to Universal Studios. They went on the Simpsons ride. And all the new stuff, right? Like, I went on the Twister ride, but I think the Twister ride's not even there now and got changed to something else. Terminator 2 ride was kind of cool because, like, the Terminator came back and you helped, like, John Connor fight the T-1000, which was, like, this giant liquid metal scorpion type of thing. And, like, you would also fight the T-1000. That ride was cool. Confrontation was awesome, too, because you would get on a tram. They have a Kong ride, Confrontation, in the Hollywood one. But in Hollywood, the ride is, like, interactive movie. And it's not the way it was at all. But, like, the OG Confrontation in Universal Studios Florida was a tram ride. So you would get on the tram. And I know people are like, Dread, why do you keep talking about Florida? Do you miss Florida? No, it's not that. Because there's, like, somebody brought up a stream I was watching. Sameko Saba, over the weekend, was talking about, like, theme park rides. And it's funny that they brought that up. Because I've been watching, like, in my spare time, I, like, watch Because I have a friend, Countess Crucible, Dracul, that she is really into, like, abandoned facilities, abandoned lots, abandoned houses. She's into abandoned amusement parks. And one of the things that I like to do is look at, like, abandoned amusement park. And also I like to watch, like, amusement park videos of parks that I haven't, like, of rides that have closed. So that's why we're talking about stuff like this. So a Confrontations ride, like, you went on a tram because, like, you're trying to escape New York City because King Kong was on a rampage, and, like, the National Guards and the military are trying to get you out of New York and escape the clutches of Kong so that they could deal with him. So you got on a tram ride, and on the tram ride, you encounter King Kong. It depends. Sometimes you would get 3 encounters with him, sometimes you would get 2. And in the last encounter, like, Kong would grab your tram and shake you up, and you could smell his monkey breath if you were seated good. The best seats to always get in Confrontation is if you got the window seats, because if you got the window seats, you could really, really see King Kong. I was fortunate on 2 occasions to be able to get King Kong side with the breath. That's the other thing with the ride. You would have to get the side with King Kong on it. So, like, if you went on the ride and you got the poor luck of the draw and the Kong was on the other side, you wouldn't get, like, the true... You'd still get the experience, but it wouldn't be as interactive or as, like, enthralling and engaging. So then, the running joke became, like, when you were at Universal Park, if there was, like, rides, you could do a lot of the Universal rides very early into the day, where then there weren't more rides that you want to see. So, like, a hack was, like, during the evening when there's, like, Universal shows and stuff, and there's, like, other festivities going on, what you could do is if you wait till, like, 7... This is the hack for amusement park rides. If you waited for, like, the big parades or, like, festivals, closing ceremonies for the day to happen, if you will go at, like, 7 o'clock at night, roughly, to, like... Well, it's not there anymore, but Confrontation or Jaws, you could get on the ride almost instantaneously and re-experience the ride. So the life hack was, if you had the time and you didn't get King Kong on your side, you could go on the ride later that evening when there's nobody on it because everybody's doing something or having dinner, and you could get the experience you'd have. Same with the Jaws ride. So that was the hack that you would do. And, well, you know what? Can't do it now because the rides aren't there, but you could probably do it with some of the newer rides. So if you're ever in the Florida area, heed my words. If there's a ride that you want to ride a second time, wait till, like, dinner time. 7 o'clock at night, even 8 o'clock, as long as you're not waiting for a bus to bring you back to your hotel, because that's the thing, you will miss your bus. And then you will be super sad, because it does happen. And if you have a hotel that's very far away from the International Drive, sucks to be you, buddy. But that's the life hack. Then always go at, like, 7 or 8 at night. You could... I wish you could say you could do it with the Disney parks, but it doesn't always pan out for you in the Disney parks. Maybe for Epcot, because you could do a lot of stuff at Epcot in a day and still have a lot of time left over to, like, ride second rides again. But you can't really do that with, like, the Magic Kingdom. Hollywood Studios, I don't know if they've added enough, but you could probably get away with it in Hollywood Studios. Like, another favorite ride of mine, like, that's the part that really pissed me off about Universal Studios. All the rides that I loved at Universal Studios, they got rid of. They shut them down. They replaced them with a ride. Confrontation, Jaws. There was a Jaws ride. I don't know if they shut it down in Hollywood. I think it got shut down in Hollywood, too. But there was a Jaws ride in Florida, as well as Hollywood, where you got on the ride, you would get on a boat, you would be, like, on the boat, getting a tour of Amityville. And during the tour, what would happen is Jaws would actually come and start attacking your boat. And during the ride, Brody, one of the Brodies, I don't know if it was the actual Brody from the first movie, but, you know what, Chief Brody would come, maybe a descendant of Brody, I would assume, comes and helps you subdue the shark with Jaws. And in the end, like, they deal with Jaws the way that they deal with him in Jaws 2 for the movie. And why are we talking about Jaws? Jaws, ironically, has the 50th movie anniversary. I didn't get to see Jaws on the anniversary, but they had it in the movie theater and stuff, but I didn't get to see it. I've been in the mood to watch Jaws. I I gotta, when I have some spare time, watch Jaws, because it's something I love the first Jaws. Second Jaws is okay, third one not so much. But the ride was really cool because it was like really immersive and it's like being in the movie. I like the Universal Studio rides where it's like really, really, truly immerses you and you're actually part of the audience or you're part of the experience. And you're actually part of the ride. Like E.T., they still have that there, so like E.T. did a very good job of making you part of the experience. I think any good amusement park ride, you have to be part of the experience to really, because that's how you create those engaging and enthralling memories of stuff, right? And there's another thing too, right? Like, there was another ride that I loved was the Ghostbusters ride. And in Ghostbusters ride, it wasn't really a ride, as it was more like a show. That's the ones that always bar me when they call them rides like that. So it was basically a show that you watched, where there was a little bit of interactivity in your seats, where you would go and you would deal with, you would watch the Ghostbusters give their demonstration on ghosts and stuff. This is after they had already taken care of the ghost in Ghostbusters 1. And during it, it's a mistake, a mishap in the science experiment, and they re-release Gozer. And in the end of it, they need you and the help of the audience to be able to, like, subdue Gozer. You know what? Gozer the Destroyer. And you even, like, get the Marshmallow Man and stuff, and it was cool. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It's kind of cool. He did kind of recreate experiences from Ghostbusters' first movie, but it was kind of cool. I like that one. That was that. You know? Even though we've been a little bit more. Back to the Future of the ride, which they took that one out too, which made me super sad because that was really good. That Back to the Future of the ride, for all intents and purposes, was Back to the Future 4. Like, I'll have to, like, share these links with you of people who've YouTubed the rides so that you can see on, like, the last day how these rides were. Back to the Future of the ride was you were going on a Doc Brown experiment back in time, like they had created, where you could go back in time and, like, did this whole tourist thing. And during the ride, what happens is Biff comes back to steal the time machine to create, like, a whole bunch of paradoxes. So what you do is you, with the help of Doc Brown that's going to be guiding you, go into the DeLorean to bring back Biff to the current timeline so that it doesn't do a whole bunch of destruction to it. And that one was cool because that's very similar to Star Tours, where you get on it, it's an interactive movie, but the ride moves back and forth and there's a lot of movement. And that was, like, one of my favorites, because it's Back to the Future 4, basically. And that was so cool, that ride. That was one of my favorite rides, too, in Universal Studios. They took that one out, too. The Terminator was, like, an interactive movie, too, which are cool. Those are always, the interactive movie ones were fun. There was an Islands of Adventure Spider-Man ride that was like that. I don't know if Spider-Man is still there, because I don't know if they, like, changed it or not. Because I went to Island Adventures when Islands of Adventure opened up a long time ago, and I went, I think the year it opened up, or the year after it opened up? I don't recall. It was, like, brand new, and they had Spider-Man the ride. And that one was kind of cool because it's an interactive movie, you know. Star Tours is another one. That's not in Universal, obviously. But there was a lot of cool ones. Men in Black the ride, like, it's another kind of, like, interactive-ish type ride. Like, the good ones are always interactive, but I didn't care for it, because I'll be honest, don't cancel me here. I don't like the Men in Black movies. Except for Men in Black 3, which is the worst one in the installment. Because I like the whole concept of Men in Black 3 where, believe it or not, Tommy Lee Jones' character, Kay, actually is responsible for the events of Jay, you know, eventually becoming a Men in Black character and everything in it. So I liked how it comes full circle, and I like the story of him trying to help a young Kay. And believe it or not, the first Men in Black movie, I just don't vibe with it. And the second movie, I've seen it because they used to air it all the time. They played this movie to death on freaking Stars, the movie network channels. How many of you have cable anymore? Probably not any of you. Most of my audience probably watches stuff via the internet, via, like, Netflix and stuff. But, like, they used to play on Stars all the freaking time. Men in Black 2. And Men in Black 3. That's how I watch Men in Black 3. But, like, I like the message of Men in Black 3. I like the villain of Men in Black 3, too. You know, I thought it was a pretty okay villain compared to the other two. Like, I don't like, God. What was her name? Lara Flynn Boyd, I think? is her name. She played the villain in the second movie. I didn't think she was kind of okay. I didn't like Don't Cancel Me. This is back in the day, not now. Rosario Dawson's character, I felt like she was very flat and generic. Like, there was just parts of Men in Black 2 that's just flat and generic. And then Men in Black 1 is like, that one... I don't know, it's one of those movies where it tries to take itself too seriously, that I feel like the comedy aspects get lost on it. But obviously it's an okay movie, but it's not a movie I like to watch. It just doesn't... It fails to, like, engage me the way that Men in Black 3 does. And that's my bad movie take of the day. But, like, Men in Black Riot, that one's okay. Trying to think of what else was in Universal Studios. There was the Twilight Zone ride. I don't know if that's still there. I never went on it, because I don't like rides that put you at very high velocities and then drop you straight down. I don't like roller coasters per se because of that. I don't like to be high up in the air and drop down. Not because I'm afraid of heights. I just don't like the sensation, the feeling of being dropped down at full velocity like that. It's not comfortable for me. It makes me nervous. Like, I used to like it for Splash Mountain and flume rides, you know, rides where you go on. Have any of you ever been on a amusement park ride for Great Adventures? I don't know if they have this at every Great Adventure, so don't cancel me. There's one called Rolling Rapids, where it's basically a water ride, and then it drops you down. Okay, so those drops aren't so bad, and it gets you wet, right? So on a hot day, these are like the best rides that you would want to ride in a park, right? So like Splash Mountain, I used to love Splash Mountain until one time, and this is me as a little kid dread, right? Where I went on Splash Mountain, and, like, if you're not sitting in the front, it's a very bad experience for you on that ride sometimes. So, like, the last time I rode Splash Mountain, there were some people. We got the second row seats, right? Or it was, like, the middle row seats. I don't remember. Second or third row of the seats. And the people who were in front of us were... What's the best way to put it? They were very, very big and broad. And it's not fat, it's power, as the saying goes, right? And I don't know if any of you know about physics, but when you have heavier things in the front of the rides, as opposed to the back of the rides, even on the back it could make things bad, but in the front more so, the ride gets you fall at a much higher velocity because the weight is distributing this, right? So it's causing more velocity. I don't know if the person that made them sit in the front, like, was being a practical joker or whatever, but those people were sitting, and it made the experience for me, who was still a kid at the time, terrifying. Because, like, the velocity was going so much that the boat was rocking. It got to the point, at one point, and this goes to show you how scared I was for my life on this ride, that I looked to my mom and said, "Mom, I don't want to get on this ride anymore." And the reason I did that was I looked at, and there was an exit sign not that far away from me. And she's like, "Well, there's only one way down." Which is, you know, a nice way of telling your kid, "Well, it sucks to be you, buddy." And lo and behold, I had to go on the most miserable flume drop that I've ever experienced in all my life as a kid. And this was back as a kid. And from that day forward, well, that was actually the last time. I never rode Splash Mountain again. I never had time to anyway. I never went back to the park. I used to like to ride that ride 2 or 3 times, but after that just killed my love because I always was afraid, well, what happens if we have another incident like that? I don't think my heart could have taken it anymore as a kid. And yeah, that was scary, man. That was scary. Oh. Space Mountain, I never... And not the Ric Flair one, because I know I have wrestling fans that are in the chat. Space Mountain, I never rode Space Mountain. I know it's like a roller coaster in the dark. Again, I'm not a fan of roller coasters. I don't like those type of rides. So I never rode, like, Space Mountain. You know, but... Like Universal, there's not really rides that do that, but Islands of Adventure, has a lot of roller coasters, so there's a lot of roller coasters. That's why I never really cared too much for Islands of Adventure when it first came, because everything's like roller coasters. And I didn't have a lovely lady, a lovely girlfriend that's gonna hold my hand during these roller coasters. If I did, then maybe I would have went on those rides, but no, alas, I did not. And I was a young kid too. Like, if I had a girlfriend when I was young like that, that would have been, I would have been quite the Casanova, perhaps. But no, the only thing I was interested in growing up is being the best gamer that I could be possible. And look where that got me. I'm here talking to you guys, 737 members of the Dread Knight Army, on YouTube. Is this perhaps the consequences of my actions? I don't know. Who knows? I kid, chat. I'm not, I'm not making fun of you. Life comes at you fast, perhaps. No, I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. Oh, we won that race there. I'm playing as Kamek, a character nobody ever plays. That's like I said, we were just coming in. I'm playing as Mario Kart characters and vehicle options. Not so much the tires, because the tires are very similar, it seems, for all these recommendations. That were recommended to me by viewers from the last installment that we did, as well as social medias, discords, etc., etc. So that's why I'm doing the things that I am doing here, guys. But yeah, you know, fun times, fun times to be had, you know, we're having fun time, blast. I'm not playing World, why? Because I don't own a Switch 2. Broke Boys Rise Up. Yep. Broke Boys Club. I also, like, just based on what I was seeing from other people's streams with Mario Kart World, like, I wasn't too interested. I like the new game mechanics. But I'm not, like, too interested, like, in, God, I must go into depth for this system type of thing with it. You know why? Because it's like, I like that they changed the tracks around, but a lot of the tracks that are in the game are tracks I can play in this game anyway. And the other thing, too, is, like, at the moment, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has more tracks anyway, in general. So, like, since there's already more tracks in this game... And here's the thing, I never really took Mario Kart 8 Deluxe seriously at any point, guys. Like, I never took it seriously. Until, like, recently I started playing and learning mechanics, like super ins and outs, that then I was like, okay, I can. And now I've, like, have an invested interest, because after a while you get tired of playing the same games, too. That's why I don't really play as much Master Duel anymore as I'd like to. That's why you don't see me play Dead by Daylight. I haven't done other games. Like, I stopped playing Monster Hunter. I know I get this asked a lot on my channel. When are you going to do Monster Hunter Wilds? There's a reason why I haven't done it. It's a reason that I'm not at liberty to discuss at the moment. It is a possibility, maybe somewhere down the line, I'll be in a position that I can talk about Monster Hunter Wilds here on this channel and stuff, but I'm just not interested in doing that. And I can't. For reasons I can't really go. It's a business-related reason, is the only thing I can tell you in that retrospect. That's why I didn't do Wilds. And World, as I said, we played World to death. And there's not anything else that I could necessarily do in Worlds. And Sunrise, I have Sunrise on both the Switch as well as the PC. Because the PC version we got via Switch payout one time. And that funded that. And... excuse me. I'm a little bit sleepy. A little bit eepy. The reason why I don't do Rise anymore is because we played it to death. Like, another thing that people ask me on the channel is like, why don't I do guides anymore and just make guides? I don't have games I'm interested in making guides for personally. Like, again, I said there's a reason why I'm not doing Wilds or content for Wilds, and I can't discuss it. It's business related. I've already done Monster Hunter World like stuff to help people with that, and anything I did would be a retread on stuff that other people have done. I don't do guides in Sunbreak because there's no, like, fun, more gimmick sets. I've covered every type of set that I was willing to cover. It hasn't been covered either by another content creator or already by myself for it in terms of endgame, so, like, there's no reason to do it. And I just don't... I'm not interested in making guides. Which is... I know it's hard to understand that, but I'm been leaning more into the vein of streaming, where I get to just, like, play the games and have discussions like this and tell stories and like just hang out with peeps and share experiences and opinions, as opposed to like churning out a guide. You know, it's like, why do I do Diablo 3 content anymore? I play Diablo 3 every once in a while. The reason I haven't played Diablo 3 recently is like there's a new season that came out. I don't like the seasonal theme. I have characters that I've already leveled up. I don't feel like making a new character because I don't have enough space anyway. So like I could improve characters and grind for like primal ancient gear. But I'm not interested in playing that because I've played on Switch alone Diablo 3. I have 13,000 excuse me, 1,340 hours on that. I've played as much Diablo 3 as my heart can take. And every once in a while, I'm not gonna lie to you, every once in a while, I'm in the mood to like revisit Sanctuary and grind with my character and get more primal ancient legendaries. And just grind out there, right? But I'm not there right now with the game. I'm not, like, I don't have a need to play Diablo 3 like that. Like, I need to be in the mood to want to do it. And I can't make guides because I've covered every single build that is viable and possible on this, in the game at this point. So anything I do would just be regurgitating guides that I've already made for Diablo 3. And Diablo 4, as I've said, I hate the game. I don't want to play Diablo 4. I played the first 5 seasons. I made guides for the first 3 seasons. Uh-oh. That was a skill issue on my part. We might lose a race here. Can't win them all, right? So, like, with Diablo 4, when I made content for guides, people weren't interested because people hate Diablo 4. I have people like, why are you still playing this trash game, bro? And make fun like that. And so that's why I don't do Diablo 4 content on this channel. And that's why I don't play, like, the seasons of Diablo 4, because I didn't even buy the expansion pass. You know, the new expansion that came out for Diablo 4, because I played the base game, and it was boring. And I played a season or two where it was kind of fun. The season of loot, I think, was the best peak part for Diablo 4, and if they kept things that way, I probably would still be playing. And then the next season, they changed it. And the next season, they changed it. And then the expansion, they changed it to make it harder and more of a hamster wheel to try to get the loot. And I don't like that experience in a Diablo game. I already play a game in Diablo that makes it hard for me to get loot, and it's something where you're at the mercy of RNG. We got... Our first place there got stolen by Baby Mario. How dare you, Baby Mario? I'm gonna... Ah, man, I'm gonna turn you into a frog one of these days. But yeah, with Diablo 4 too, like, if the experience wasn't very similar to Diablo 3 and it's hard to get items and gear, I already have a game that does that and does it better and still is more fun to play. That's called Diablo 2 Resurrected, right? So, like, I'll just play Diablo 2 Resurrected as opposed to playing that, you know? So then that's how I look at it with those type of games. Like, why am I going to do it if I'm not going to enjoy playing it, and there's, like, people are not going to enjoy watching it? And that's why I don't do really Diablo content anymore. Maybe if they make a Diablo game that's not bad and unfun to play, or it's just, like, trying to push microtransactions, maybe I'll look at Diablo again. Or Diablo 4 maybe in 10 years will be good, but I won't be here in 10 years, probably. I'll just be realistic. We're already 5 years on this channel. Content eventually for this is gonna wind down where you might get like one Dreadscape game and video a week. And I will move on to other projects, and I will move on to other pastures, I will move on to other things. And like I said, I'm more interested in Twitch stuff in these days too. You know, and oh, that was rough. Maybe I shouldn't try to drive into Shell. Now we gotta catch up. That's gonna be rough here. I'm not familiar with this map. Some of the DLCs, like I had the expansion pass, obviously, for the DLC of Mario Kart Deluxe. But like half the stuff in it, I don't even know half these maps because I haven't played that much on them. So this is kind of why maybe I'm sucking a little bit at them. Please be patient with me. Hi, I'm new for this map, basically. You know, so that's why I don't do Diablo content. And, or dungeon crawlers, like I know people have told me, dude, why don't you play Path of Exile? When Path of Exile goes free to play, I will take a look at it. assuming my computer doesn't spaz out while running it, or can run it properly where it's not, like, bad or causing the computer to have a heart attack. I'm down to check it out and see how it is, but it's not free-to-play yet. You have to pay to play the free-to-play game, and I'm not going to do that. If the devs want to throw me, like, a key so I can take a look at it, I will gladly take a look at it. If it becomes something that interests me and enjoys, like the grind, I will do that. But at the moment, like, until it's free-to-play, I'm not going to check it out. You know? Like, people ask me about Fortnite. I have Fortnite still downloaded. I'll just be honest with you. I really enjoyed the Star Wars season. I wish I could have contributed content to the Star Wars season. I obviously really enjoyed the season with Godzilla and stuff. The only reason I haven't revisited Fortnite is I'm not interested in the current season. I like Superman. I don't have the time to grind a battle pass for Superman skin. I was kind of hoping we were going to get a Superman skin that was going to be available in the item shop to purchase. That did not happen. That is why I have not played any Fortnite. I haven't even checked out the season or done the updates for it. Just honestly because I haven't been interested. The season, superhero theme season, not interesting. Star Wars theme I played, that was really fun. I wish I could have played more, but I was just busy as a human being. I played all of the season and grinded to level 100 of the chapter, season 6, chapter 1. I did enjoy that season. I thought it was fun all around with Godzilla. You know, I need a season that when I look at it in the trailer, I'm like, wow, that's really fun. I really want to play that. I have to play that. Where there's, like, skins that I'm interested in playing with and that make me want to get the Battle Pass. I didn't feel that with this Fortnite season. When they did Superman again and made it, like, a Battle Pass skin, I'm like, but we had Superman as a Battle Pass skin. I didn't get him then because I didn't like that theme of the invasion. So then I was like, maybe if he's an item, you know, in the item shop as a cosmetic that you could buy, but they didn't do that. So, like, you know, even Tony Stark has an Iron Man skin that's available in the item shop, but you don't have one for Superman like that. I don't understand if it's a licensing issue or what it is. I just know it doesn't make me happy that they do that. So then I was disinterested with it, so that's why I haven't played Fortnite. Even though I really do enjoy Fortnite every once in a while. In Dead by Daylight, like I said, there's been changes. Like, I think Springtrap is cool. But I'm not going to get that DLC right now, because it's not... I don't play enough Dead by Daylight to warrant it. And I just don't like some of the changes to the game. Maybe I play some DVD matches and make, like, a short on it. But I don't see myself, like, doing, like, a full stream of Dead by Daylight, because it would just be played customs. Unless I grab, like, a whole bunch of people, it would just be me practicing killers and customs. And I know that's, like, not the main draw. But that's kind of what I would be interested in doing, because I don't feel like playing ranked. And then, like, there's always stream sniping that comes up in Dead by Daylight. Which it's prevalent because people look at the name. And you can change the name, yeah, but I don't feel like I should have to do that. I mean, there's streamer mode now, too. I understand there's streamer mode. But yeah, and then, like, ranked in Dead by Daylight. I haven't played recently, but I remember the last Halloween event, and I posted the short of that. Like, I did the Halloween event. I think it was the last time I really played Dead by Daylight. And the Halloween event, I grinded for the cosmetics and did them. But I remember, like, killers were in a very bad mood and sweating and farming for blood points. And farming would, like, you know, make it miserable for you to play. And then if you played as killer, it was the same way with survivors. Because people, the worst comes out in Dead by Daylight players for the events. Because everybody wants the cosmetics and everybody wants, like, the extra blood points because of how much blood points it takes to finish a skill tree. I think that's the other issue with Dead by Daylight behavior, if you're listening. This is not like a mean critique, this is a serious critique. I feel like at some point, if you want to bring newer players into Dead by Daylight, you have to reduce the grind of the skill tree, of the blood web. Like, you have to make it easier to level up. You have to be more generous with the blood points. Maybe for prestige levels, you don't have 50 levels of it. I feel like having to grind 50 levels 3 times just to get on a survivor or a killer their perks at purple, so our characters could use those perks at purple, is just too much time. That, you know, at that point you're playing Dead by Daylight as a job. And for people who may just like to pass through Dead by Daylight every once in a while, and not have to do that just to be able to like play in ranked and to be able to do well in rank and continue to do well in rank. Like, there has to be a change to that because it's just too many levels. You either gotta make it so that the leveling's quicker, or you gotta do something where it requires less blood points to complete webs. But it's just not doing it for like a player. Like, you know, not everybody's gonna have time to like P3 characters to just, you know, get the most perks at their max value. You know, people do play other games behavior. People don't only play Dead by Daylight, and you have to think about those people, and not just like the people who play your game 24/7, because that's what will turn off newer players or players who just play casually. And that's me. Like, I have 500 hours in Dead by Daylight, but I got to a point where I don't want to play rank anymore. Because it's just, it'll take too long to grind stuff out. And why do that when I could just play a custom? You know? And that's what, like, kind of kills games when people don't want to grind like that because it takes too long. And I think people have addressed this before with Dead by Daylight, but you know, that's kind of where I am with Dead by Daylight at the moment. Like, there's not incentive to play. Like, I gotta play this game. Like, I haven't seen a trailer since the Chucky trailer that it was like, I have to have this killer. I gotta play this killer. Maybe they were a little bit with the Dracula, and Dracula was, like, really hard to play. But, like, Chucky was my last one where I made me really come back to Dead by Daylight for real. And then they nerfed Chucky, and they kept nerfing Chucky. And as they continued to nerf Chucky, I just was like, I don't want to play anymore. Because if you're going to keep nerfing Chucky, my favorite killer in the game, we all know I'm a big Chucky fan. Why? Like, why you do that to me, bro? Why you do that to me, behavior? Like, they took away his ability to scamper under the pallets, which I think is what made Chucky so fun with the mind game. So then he has to, the only way he can scamper under a pallet is if he uses his slice and dice. But like, slice and dice under a pallet is not really great in a lot of situations because it's very easy to juke to survive as a survivor so that he misses the hit. The other thing is, like, I play on controller, right? I don't play on mouse and keyboard, even on PC. So, like, playing Chucky sometimes in Slice and Dice kinda hurts without having the scamper under the pallet quite a bit. That's the extra mind game there. So, you know, it's... I'm not saying Chucky's, like, you could still play Chucky, but he's so much harder to play. And he's less fun, because they've taken away a lot of his toolkit. To the point that at some point, they might have to rework Chucky a little bit, because he keeps losing more and more to it, which was, like, my favorite killer. Mind you, I was racked up, like, a good extra 100 hours in Dead by Daylight because of Chucky. And then they took it away. And I was like, well, I lost incentive to play this, and then, like, I'm glad I have Pinhead, because they took away the license to Pinhead. They got back Stranger Things, but they lost Pinhead. And, you know, Pinhead was another one where it was like, I really like the killer, but he's very hard to play on controller because of the chain mechanic. Because it's really hard to use the power on controller. I don't like playing mouse and keyboard because I have a lot of carpal from playing games on controller. So, you know. And Freddy, they've they've buffed Freddy since after all the nerfs that they did. But I haven't had time to, like, experiment with him, too. But I know that I wouldn't want to grind blood webs to be able to play these killers in rank. But then that's why it reduces me to that. You know? I wish games, in terms of leveling, could just be like Friday the 13th the game. Like, Friday the 13th the game had a level up system where, like, the max was 125 to get it. But you leveled up in Friday the 13th the game quite quickly and easily. You could level up in, I don't know, it's a bad dead ASM horror game, Charlie Legend. You could kind of level up okay there. You can sort of level up in the now, well, it's still on life support, but I would consider the game dead for all intents and purposes. Puppet Master the game. And even with Puppet Master the game, like, the thing that always bars me with the game is that it takes forever to earn cosmetics in this game via solo play. And, like, some of the last cosmetics, which I assume is the reason they're so expensive, they were for the Halloween event, is because they want you to play the game a lot to earn them. And they knew they're probably not making more content for it, is the fact that, like, the Punch character, Mr. Punch, as he's called, he is a ridiculous amount of not blood points, experience points. And for a game that has a very low player base and you can't really get games in it, and then you have to grind it solo, and after a while playing solo, it gets boring because you're not going to make a lot of points to be able to unlock the skin anyway for Jester. You know, there's like less incentive to play it. Like I stopped playing Puppet Master the game, particularly because I felt like the developers were pushing the wrong things in the game. And like I always said, Puppet Master the game needed bots, AI bots for every mode. And without them, you wouldn't be able to really be able to get people to want to play the game, because like you would play the solo campaign, but you don't really truly experience what Puppet Master the game is and what it truly could be. And remember, in the beginning, I was a very big supporter of Puppet Master the game, but then, like, you know, one bad decision after another. Like I said, you know, they didn't include bots in every mode, so you could play their modes. They did some things for solo player that were okay, like adding the extra map into Montoya, and they would add new characters for free. That was great. But then at the same time, they would do questionable decisions, like if you're trying to get more people to play the game and like bot mode would have helped, instead you pushed out cosmetics, microtransactions for skins of stuff that was like should have been in the base game, as I said. Like in particular, the homunculus that was in, I think, the last DLC pack they did, should have been in the base game for free. Another thing was like Puppet Master Movie 1 Jester. It's the first Puppet Master game. Why is the first Puppet Master skin a paid-for DLC cosmetic? It just never made any sense to me. Like, at that point, it's like you're just trying to milk when this is something that should have been in the base game. And it got to the point where Puppet Master game, it's just, hey, there's new cosmetics, and here they are. Give us money, and it was a lot similar to the experience of kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you're not listening to the player base that you have, which was very low anyway to begin with, and you're not doing things to improve the overall health of the game and longevity, and instead you're just focusing on, hey, give me money. And this is where, I hate to say it, but Dead by Daylight, at least this works for the most part. When they tell you, hey, give me money, they give you a new character. They give you a new map. They constantly are balancing things. They're constantly trying to find ways with new modes and other things to keep the players engaged. Whether you want to play Dead by Daylight or not, that's another thing. Phasmophobia, to a lesser degree, same thing. I do gotta go back to playing Phasmophobia at some point. I did enjoy it, even though I couldn't identify ghosts correctly in that game, because I still required to level up. Again, that's why I'd say I hate games where you have to level up to unlock a lot of things, and the level up system is very, very slow if you're playing by yourself. But yeah, you know, Phasmophobia does this too. They introduce new maps. They introduce new things to kind of change up the gameplay a bit. They don't do enough, because I feel like they should introduce more ghosts. But this thing, Power World, I'll give Power World as an example, even though like maybe you love or hate it, depending where you stand on Pokemon. You know, despite the lawsuit and stuff, Power World has been giving us updates and adding new pals and adding new things, and obviously having to change things because of this lawsuit with Nintendo. But Power World is giving that stuff away for people base game for free, and they're improving on the things that they know aren't great. And that's the thing. That's what is important for these games, and I feel like this is another example. Liar's Bar, the game that everybody has abandoned at this point. Liar's Bar is a game where they have a brand new update that nobody's even talked about, because everybody got on that cash cow and milked it as that fad for like a week or two, and then they abandoned the game. Liar's Bar has been getting constant free updates. The newest update that they have is, what is it? It's the poker update. I haven't had time to check it out. I'm hoping to, at some point, check it out in the not-too-distant future to see, hopefully they fix some of the things with, like, the AI and the cheating bots and cheating people on it, hopefully. You know, they added a rank mode. I did terrible in rank mode. I have no rank in that, I think, if I remember correctly. They did a lot of cool things for the game. And the poker mode, which I think is kind of new. They've been updating the game, adding characters and stuff. They've been doing it for free. A game that I used to like, but then I stopped supporting it because I realized that they're just pushing micros and not doing a lot of stuff to change up the game so much. Party animals. I used to really enjoy party animals, and then party animals introduced like a paid for pass as opposed to just leveling up regularly. And they would like not introduce new game modes, or they would introduce them too slowly, or they wouldn't like address rage quitting or cheating. So I stopped playing party animals because it was just getting to the point where I couldn't really earn a lot of cosmetics anymore in the game, because like it would take a long time to get your dailies done, and you know, and you couldn't do your dailies or level your pass via just playing with the bots too if you wanted to, which I think is always should be an option, to be able to level up that way and let the player play however they want to play, as well as the way that you intend them to play. I missed that. I'm missing up terribly on this map. This is one of my favorite maps too, and I don't know how I can come back from it. I mean, we're still in first place by quite a bit, so that's not that big of a deal with Roy. But yeah, you know, so that's why, you know, with updates and stuff like that, I haven't played a lot of those. You know, Fall Guys was the same thing. I really enjoyed Fall Guys before Epic Games took over for it. When Epic Games took over, I stopped playing it. Rocket League, I love Rocket League, but in order to play my cars in Rocket League, I can't play my DLC licensed cars on Rocket League on my PC version, because on the Switch version, they're locked to that. I can only play my unlicensed DLC cars to the PC version, which kind of sucks, because then it forces me to play the Switch version, which I'd just be playing with bots anyway, where I have to play the PC version without all my DLC items. Marvel Rivals, I haven't played in a while because it kind of ended up with Overwatch, right? Like, the Overwatch community took over, and then you have a lot of smurfing, and it just become like a sweat fest. And I play a lot of competitive games as it is right now. I play a lot of Pokemon, I play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Those games are sweaty and stressful as it, well, not Pokemon, but Yu-Gi-Oh! In particular. They're sweaty and they're stressful as it is, that I don't want to then play more sweaty and stressful games. Like, the thing is, like, on stream, which I don't think some people get it, some people don't. I don't want to be stressed out and not have fun during streams all the time, because I'm playing games that I'm not enjoying, or I'm having to play them so seriously because there's so much at stake and the pressure to do well. I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna play a match with Toad in Highway with the recommendation you gave me. And I'm gonna play it with Meta, and then we're gonna bow out for the day after that. These are the last two races. Hope you enjoy it. Let's see if I can grab water while this rubs up. Alright, off to a good start. Let's see the clear time we could get here. I'm gonna move over the logo. Let's move it over here for now, okay? Just for that part. Just so you can see the clear time. And then I'll put it back. But yeah, you know, so a lot of games I want to check out. I don't have a lot of time. Vampire Survivors 2, I know it has a brand new update that came out. What I'm waiting for, to be honest with you, I want crossplay / progression of Vampire Survivors between PC and Switch. If you give me that, I will definitely pick up the Vampire Survivors on the Switch. If I don't have to buy all the DLC again. Because the game goes on sale quite a lot, and I do enjoy Vampire Survivors. I did the Castlevania DLC, that was like the last time I did. I haven't touched it with the new update that they gave a while ago. Just because I haven't been playing it, and obviously Laptop Cham has had their issues here and there. But that's why I haven't really done Vampire Survivors. But that's something that maybe I can look into doing in the future too, and check out the DLC for that. I'm trying to like broad thing. I'm really thinking about, at this point, pinball. Maybe Chucky's Killer Pinball next stream. I don't know. Don't hold me to it, because I know we have a Yu-Gi-Oh quota that we have to meet. I'm thinking of doing the live stream for that though on Twitch. We'll see. That's why I don't have a set schedule too, because if I wanna, like, I know some people get burned because I don't put the schedule out anymore as to what game I'm doing. But the reason for that is I don't want to lock myself into playing a game if then I change my mind. Because then A, it makes me look like a liar. B, on top of that, what ends up happening is I look like I didn't commit to it, or then people won't come out, and you know, and then it's just forcing myself to do something. What happens if, like, I'm in the mood to play pinball, but then I wake up in the morning, and suddenly I'm in the mood to play, like, I don't know, Jump Force for all intents and purposes, or I want to play, like, I don't know, Minecraft, or I want to play Streets of Rogue. How many people even know what I'm talking about with Streets of Rogue? Probably very few. Part 2 is coming, by the way, pretty soon. I'm looking forward to that. I don't think it's going to drop on the Switch, though, because usually with Matt Drabowski's content, games that he makes, he usually passes them over to another company to be able to do them for, like, console ports. Amanda Adventure 2 never came out on the Switch. I have it on the Switch. Part 1. That's why Part 2, like, if they port it to Switch, sure. You port it to Switch 2 and not Switch 1. Delta Ruin, I've played Chapter 1 on stream. I haven't played Chapter 2 on stream. I have played Chapter 2 in my spare time. Chapter 3 and 4 are paid for, right? It's $24, I think. It's gonna go on sale eventually, right? Unless you want to give me $24 to play it on stream, that's the only way. I'm gonna be holding off on that for now. Because we haven't played... And here's the other thing. Like, sometimes people don't understand this. I don't play games that everybody plays all the time. Like if everybody's playing Deltarune right now, I'm not going to play Deltarune because it makes no sense because everybody else is doing it. It's going to get lost in a sea of people doing Deltarune, right? I'm a small fish in a big pond on YouTube. You have to think of it that way. So that's why I do our unconventional things like Mario Kart and pinball and, you know, some of the other stuff. Like, I'd love to do South Park The Stick of Truth as a game here, but my concern is I have to censor so many things on this channel to be able to get it to work right. And I'm not too sure that we're going to be able to pull that off. But I wouldn't mind doing Stick of Truth as an RPG, because I love South Park. People do not understand how much of a fan of South Park I am. I'm looking forward to the new season that's coming out July 9th. That, like, gives me something to watch on TV. Now that basketball season's over, too. Like, I just never got to see any of the specials because they were on Paramount. I didn't get, like, Paramount Plus until recently when my cable company gave me Paramount Plus. And, like, Peacock again. Like, a whole bunch of streaming stuff that I've never used. Like, I used to Peacock. Like, you know what we should do at one point? If we ever can? We should do, like, a wrestling pay-per-view watch-along, where we watch a pay-per-view together and just chat about it. Because now I could watch, like, wrestling pay-per-views and do, like, a react to it. Where I don't show the footage, obviously, of it, and we can, like, talk about that. That's something I'd be interested in doing maybe in the future here. And we could do, like, other things like... I'd like to do basketball ones. Those are always so tough because basketball games are so late in the day. Like, I definitely want to do more guy stuff. Right. You know, because we're going to branch out. And like I said, there's going to be stuff on the channel that obviously changes the frequency of updates. I'm always going to upload to this channel in the future. It's just not going to be all the time. It's going to start slowing down in the not-too-distant future. I have other projects that I'm working on that are going to eat up time. For that, speaking of time, we did 2 minutes and 8 seconds. We beat it by 2 seconds, basically. I don't know if this is, like, the fastest run on this lap. We're going to take it there. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. If you enjoyed this stream, if you enjoyed my content, if you enjoyed my convos, my rambling, definitely make sure to hit that likes button. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment, as it helps the channel grow. And I will see you all for the next one. Till next time, guys.